Welcome to the shift. Are you coming for the shift with us? Yeah. Welcome to the shift. Are you coming for the shift with us? Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back to the shift. It's great to have everybody back. We have a wonderful episode for you guys today. We chat to Shawna from Sexsiopa.ie about many things. Sexsiopa.ie is an online sex shop geared towards the Irish market, and Shawna started that company, and she was gracious with her time. We talked to her about sex toys, masturbation, why it's important, and exciting for the listener, at the end of the ep, she has brought a sex toy for myself and Katie to try. 2 separate ones. A lady sex toy and a man's sex toy. But don't get too excited. We don't try them live on air. That's not the vibe of the podcast. Perhaps if we start a Patreon, that's the type of stuff we'll be doing. Although that is not true, because that would literally be like a webcam service, and that's not the vibe of the podcast. Anyway, guys, got a great ep coming up. I just wanted to say that I'm in Boston this weekend, March 7th to 9th. So if you know anybody there, let them know. It's going to be a great show. And other than that, enjoy the episode, myself and Katie talking to Shawna from Sexsiopa.ie.
Yeah.
So Katie just met Shawna. This is Shawna from Sexsiopa.ie.
Hello.
Who I cannot remember actually how I came across you originally.
Yeah, we talked about this. We're trying to figure out if we had people in common or if you just found me on Instagram or what the
Yeah, I
story
mean, I'm pretty
was.
sure it was just an Instagram thing. I know that I was immediately into it because, well, obviously you have a bit of Irish in the name of your shop. I had done a couple of jokes about like a shop of Guinness, but I just thought it was cool that you were that you're selling sex toys online.
Yeah.
I guess geared towards the Irish market, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I wanted, when I first set it up, I really wanted to make sure that people knew that it was like an Irish brand, and what better way than having it at least half of it Oscueliga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a perfect name, like absolutely.
Oh no, it's great. Yeah, and people who don't speak Irish can also get that it's shop.
That it's, yeah. Except my suppliers, because I have wholesalers in the UK and other parts of Europe, and they're like, how do we say it's Sexsiopa? No.
But that's a problem for Irish people and Irish names when they go abroad all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that you're getting
But if I ever wanted to expand outside of Ireland, I'd need to get a new name for my expansion.
Yeah, I guess you would.
Yeah.
But I guess you could just change it to Sexsiopa, Shopa, and not lose the sound.
Oh yeah, possibly. Yeah.
But then it'd sound like it's just somebody annoyed, where's the sex shop?
I'm horny.
Sex shop of comedy. So just a bit of history on it. Well, obviously you have an American accent.
Yes.
So how'd you end up in Ireland?
I ended up in Ireland when I was 20 because I dropped out of college. I wanted to become a film editor. And very quickly into my course, I was told that the only way I was going to become a film editor is if I moved down to LA. Oh, and by the way, there's too many editors and not enough editing jobs. So you're going to have to be at the top of your game to be able to get just any job. And this was kind of before the days of YouTube. When you could kind of make your own opportunities. So I was like, well, fuck, I am fucked then. So I'm going to have to figure out another way of having a career. And I had gone, so that summer I went on a trip to Cork with some family and really loved it, but wanted to see Dublin. We didn't see Dublin. So the next year went back to Dublin and met a guy.
Met a guy. Met an Irish guy.
And then ended up marrying him a year later.
Oh my, are you still married?
No.
No, Katie, Jesus.
I love.
I do too. Yeah, no, married and divorced by 24.
Wow.
But he remarried a girl from Texas, so he lives over there and I live over here, and we just kind of swap countries.
So he likes the Americans.
He likes the Americans.
I'm a bit of an idiot. The whole time we've been talking for like 20 minutes before this podcast, I didn't notice you having an American accent. I thought you had like a
Really?
D4 accent.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I had taxi drivers like ask me, did you just get back from your J1? And I'm like, first of all, I'm 34.
I take the compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look very young.
I got
Sorry.
carded the other day in Tesco. I was like buying a bottle of wine.
Tesco.
Yeah.
I guess they're actually probably more they're like more paranoid than like a pub.
I got the impression the guy just kind of wanted to flirt with me because he did it to the woman in front of me as well, and she was like clearly in her late 30s, early 40s. So I think,
Really?
I think he was just chancing his arm.
That's his little thing that he does.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, like, how then do you say I'm going to start an online sex shop?
So I was in the market for a vibrator about 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, it was like 2011. It was like my vibrator broke, and so I needed a new one. And I was doing a load of like product research because I wanted to get like the best of the best, and quickly realized that the industry is like largely unregulated. And so you have like these luxury brands who were making like silicone sex toys that are like body safe, and then you had like the kind of cheaper brands that were making like sex toys out of like PVC. So PVC in its natural state is a solid. It's like what your pipes are made out of at home, which is like totally safe. Like the chemistry makeup, like it's inert. But once you start to like add plastic softeners in it to get it to that like jelly dildo consistency, that's where the problems come in, because there's the main group of plastic softeners called phthalates, which are banned in children's toys. Up to like 0.1% of a toy's entire makeup can be like made in plastic softeners. So they're banned in children's toys in the US and the EU, but they're not banned in adult toys. So there was like a huge problem with that, like across the industry, because there's no country that wants to be seen like regulating sex toys. So
sorry, you were just aware of this as a consumer?
As a consumer, just doing consumer research.
They don't want kids to put it in their mouth, but it's totally okay to put it in your vagina.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I, like, knowing this, like, concerned about this, I went to the big female-founded sex shop in Seattle called Babeland, which you guys have like 3 locations in New York.
Never been. I actually haven't been, but I've passed one. I believe there's one on the Lower East Side. Actually, that's why there's one on Rivington Street, I think.
Yeah, there's one in Brooklyn as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, shop with me instead, you guys.
This is 100% an advertisement for you.
So I went to Babeland and was just like really blown away by the customer service, by the fact that they had like natural lighting, and just the way like everything was like merchandised. It felt like shopping in a boutique or an Apple store rather than like shopping in a sex shop. Because I would take like friends to different like sex shops around Dublin when they were buying their vibrators, and just got this really like uncomfortable feeling because it was like always like really super male dominated spaces. There was like one dude behind the counter, and it was just be like a countertop full of like out of date poppers and like just dusty anal beads all over.
Do you know what
the wall.
poppers are, Katie?
It's a thing to make your arse bigger.
No, it's amyl nitrate. So the way that it works,
I mean, you weren't 100% wrong.
You put it in your nose and it makes your arse looser, right?
it makes you more relaxed.
Well,
but yeah, it gets you high, it makes you more relaxed. It doesn't make your hole bigger.
Yeah.
But you're kind of like on the right path of that.
As a woman with IBS, I'm not doing poppers. I need that stuff tight.
We haven't got into anal yet in this podcast.
Oh right. Oh,
that's for the future.
We'll talk about that today then. So.
Okay, great.
I'm
scared of anal.
All right, just keep focused there for a sec on your trip to Cable Street.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we I'd take my friends on trips to different sex shops, and it just wasn't a great customer experience. And so after my trip to Babeland, I was like, we don't have anything like that here in Dublin. I really want to start a sex shop. And a few of my friends were like, yeah, absolutely, you need to do this. And so kind of planned it for about a year. And then in 2012, the end of 2012, I opened it up online.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So just because you're so comfortable with going around and buying vibrators even before you decided.
Yeah.
Well, how old were you when you got your first vibrator?
I was 22.
22. Okay.
Yeah. And I bought it online. I bought it from, where did I buy it from? It was a Lilo vibrator. And yeah, it was my best friend.
And this is while you were here.
This is why I was here. Yeah.
While here.
So, yeah, I moved here when I was 20. I got the vibrator when I was 22. And I think I was like 24, 25 when that one broke and I needed a new one.
Around the time.
Oh, so that was the time that you started looking. And that's what it was, that look that caused you to think you need to open up a place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, can I ask you a question? Obviously, part of your motivation was because you thought that it was kind of a bit seedy, a little bit of sort of like a dark place in terms of the Irish sex shop.
Yeah.
But did you also think that there was a demand, or that there would be a demand if you opened up a different type of shop?
Yeah, I've always been like, it's probably this American optimism. If you build it, they will come, pun intended. But like, I had a gut feeling that if I opened something up that was like positive, that people would see it as such. And I think that I've been right in that. I haven't gotten any major backlash about it. I know like when Ann Summers opened on O'Connell Street in 1999, they got sent a bullet in the post. And like fast forward to like 2016, I was on RTE showing a bunch of sex toys to like college students and nobody batted an eyelid. Nobody complained. So I think like I just like I had a feeling that like things were changing in Ireland and I wanted to be part of that.
And
Yeah.
do you find that, but marketing these products in Ireland or talking about them in Ireland, you have to have like a sort of a certain tact of sort of explaining to people that it's okay, as opposed to America
Yeah.
where there's a bit more of an openness about it. So here you're almost kind of saying to people, listen, this is something that you will be into if you get it. Whereas in
Yeah.
the States, they're sort of saying like, what have you got?
I think you definitely, like in Ireland, you have to like coax people out a bit more. But I've noticed that like when I give talks and things, if you give people a platform to ask questions about sex, they absolutely 100% will. So I've done talks at like colleges where like nobody will raise their hand to ask a question. And then I'll be like, okay, the first person who asks a question will get like a free bottle of lube. And then everybody puts their hand up. So it's just trying to like bring people out of their shells a little bit. Like I think we're way more liberal than we give ourselves credit for. And I say we because I have my citizenship. Way more liberal than we give ourselves credit for. I think it's just, again, it's just getting ourselves into the habit of being more open. And I think like certainly like the millennial generation and under is like really taking part in that. And because we have the internet, we have much more access to information, much more access to like educational tools than we ever had before. And that's not to say that like we don't need better sex education in Ireland, because we absolutely do. But I think,
Well, because there's none. Really?
Because there's none.
Very, very little.
There's very little, and it's very like hit and miss. There's
Yeah.
some schools who do brilliant sex education, and then there's some schools that just because of religious ethos like will not teach anything.
We had it, but what she told us was an absolute disgrace.
What did you get told?
She pulled down a diagram and she said if you have anal sex, your organs will fall out of your arse.
I got told that as well.
And I believed it for a reason. Like, and even though I went home and I told my stepmom, and she was like, she's a social worker, so she was like, that's not true at all, and very like, but I still was like for years, when my first boyfriend asked me to do it, I was like, I really like my organs. But you don't know, you're like, I was 12.
Oh, no, I know.
You were 12 when they told you that?
Yeah,
oh my god.
Really? That if you have anal, they told you that at 12?
Yeah.
We were told in sex ed that if you have too much anal sex, that like your bowels will fall out.
So this was in America.
This was in America.
I
think it was just a myth that was going around. And like Dan Savage, the sex advice columnist, was like, he always says this on the podcast, that like if that were true, there would be like a run on adult diapers in every gay neighborhood.
Especially nowadays. I feel like everyone's into the anal nowadays.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? And why wouldn't they be?
I like a finger, but you know, more than that, I'm not risking.
So,
one day.
just for the record, like in terms of bad sex education stories, Miss Maureen in 7th grade in St. Kevin's, where I went to grammar school, decided to tell us about masturbation. I think it was 8th grade actually, And she said, there's nothing wrong with masturbation, but just so you know, if you do it too much, when the day comes that you need to get an erection with somebody else, you won't be able to get one because you'll be too used to giving it to yourself.
Oh my God.
I was distraught. I was like, fuck. I'm gonna have to break in it, man. I'm gonna have to fucking break in this thing. And the funny thing is that when I was sitting there on my own thinking, because at that age you think you're the only one that's masturbating, because there's a lot of, like, at that time it's like, you don't jerk like you're a wanker or whatever. And now I realize that every boy in that class was fucking sitting there going, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to break in it. I haven't.
Like,
I need to have like a support group with the people that were in that class.
I remember being like 11 or 12 and thinking I was the only person who did it, because like people like you said, like everybody calls each other like wankers, or just like makes fun of like the kids that got caught masturbating or whatever. And so I knew that it, like, intrinsically, that it was something really shameful, because like everybody was like making fun of like, oh, so and so is a wanker or whatever. But yeah, I can't remember what age where I finally was like, fuck it, like this is fine.
Katie, you have a lot of masturbation questions, right?
Yeah, I didn't start till I was in my 20s.
Really?
Yeah, no one talked to me about it.
I know a lot of people who were like that just didn't. But there's a lot of there's a lot of kids who start like really young, and a lot of kids that are just like late bloomers and everything in between. Like that's normal too. It's fine.
I think I don't know as well. I think I'm a better person since I started.
but don't you think though that some of that has to do with the fact, well, certainly in Ireland, but I think maybe in general, there's not the same feeling for women, certainly at a stage where they might be starting, that this is something that women should do.
No, it is. And like, I remember hearing the boys that I would hang around with talking about like wanking but no one talked about girls doing it. And they were talking about like having wanking competitions and stuff. Like it was very open. And then
like, who can finish faster, who can do it the most, or like
they had like a finishing faster one.
Okay.
When he hears this, he's gonna murder me.
Well, I feel like my generation, it was like around 16 where guys were finally like, all right guys, like, can we just come clean here, like we're all fucking at it.
Yeah.
But that was a moment. I don't know when that moment happens for women, and if it's a lot later in Ireland, but I certainly feel that there's less openness here about female masturbation.
Well, I think the first time I ever had like a proper conversation like with my girlfriends about it was probably in my 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it definitely is later then.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I know it's anecdotal.
And I would have been over here by that time. But yeah, we like would have never talked about it when we were teenagers, like at all.
I didn't even know it was a thing women did. Like I didn't even know about really the clitoris until quite later in life. So no one had to tell me. I
found it.
I found it.
But you had never discovered like that there's a pleasurable part down there ever once?
No, I stuck a finger in once when I was like 15, and then I was like, oof, I felt so guilty.
Yeah. Really?
Like, yeah. But like, yeah, I just came to the table late with a lot of stuff. But once I went to America, my American friends were so open about it. And then I talked to my Irish friends about it. Once I was open about it, then they were open. So I think it's just someone needs to be the conversation starter.
Someone needs to break the ice on that. Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing thing when you think that you touch yourself and you think you're doing something wrong. Like who, and this is for all of us really, who allowed some sort of prisoner warden to come and decide that one part of our body was not up to us to use? It's pretty strange.
Yeah. But in the meantime, you have like parents who are like forcing their kids to give hugs to like relatives or friends of the family or whatever. And like it's a whole consent thing, or like,
so true.
We don't have consent over our own bodies when it comes to being polite to other people, but like we're not allowed to touch ourselves, kind of thing.
And well, I was just going to say, thank God that in terms of the shame around masturbation, like it's tackled to a large degree. I feel. I don't feel like the next generation coming through have as much.
I hope not. I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as our generations, but. Yeah.
Generations. Well said.
Shade.
How old are you?
34.
Oh yeah. I would. You guys are pretty much the same generation.
I'm 28.
Yeah.
But I look 24.
but I've had a few conversations recently, definitely with Katie, and then somebody actually a 29-year-old woman just the other day, and both of you have expressed a sentence along the lines of, what the next generation are getting into, they're way more open, which is interesting to me because I just lump you guys all in the sort of 20 to 34 zone.
Yeah.
But it seems like in Ireland, your age group seem to see quite a difference in openness around sex in the average sort of like 19 to 23, 24-year-old.
Oh, completely. Like I was talking to a younger woman, but I don't think they're more open with female masturbation, because her impression of it was, I just was trying to get a feel, and she was like, no.
Oh, really?
She said, and now this is 17 age group, and she said, no. She said all the men talk about it and what they expect, which wasn't what I was very shocked by it, but she said like a lot of the young guys would kind of expect blowjobs quite quickly, and she said no one's talking about it. She was like, I wouldn't even think of touching myself, and no one's talking about it, none of her friend group anyway, but they're all openly talking about blowjobs, and that the guys are kind of expecting this and it's like, I guess they're like nightclubs, but like young, like 17, 18. I that wasn't an expectation on me, and I'm only 10 years older. So.
Yeah, well, the difficulty is, again, because we don't have good sex education in this country, and then like kids are watching porn, and the kind of porn that's available to them for free on tube sites wouldn't be the most like feminist of porn. And I say that as someone who watches porn, and I love porn, but like when that's your only source of sex education, that's just like a recipe for disaster.
Completely.
And if you're not, if you're a parent, like it, and your kid's school isn't like teaching your kids, like I'm sorry, like it's down to you. It's your responsibility to do the research and make sure that you're teaching your kids what like healthy sex and healthy relationships look like.
Yeah.
It's your job to mortify your children.
Well, no, because my stepmother's brilliant at that, and she's like been really good with my brothers and everything, but she made a really good point where she was saying, it's two extremes. It's either kind of like this insane porn that isn't real, and then there's not the other options that's being shown to them, because then the other thing is on TV you don't see a lot of sex scenes, because it's like two extremes. You don't see like the nice sex, the intimate sex.
Shawna's just getting in. That's her next business venture. She's getting into
intimate sex.
Yeah, intimate sexual porn.
And let's do that. I love intimate sex.
It's out there, but it's always a bit like Mills and Boons. I feel like they try to claim that it's like porn for women, and then
feminist porn, is it?
Well, just the stuff that I found, it just almost seems condescending in that it's a bit like Mills and Boonsy.
Oh, you're not seeing the right porn.
Yeah, well, you'll have to send me. You'll have to send me feminist porn.
There's some really, really great feminist porn out there. Like,
will you send it to me? I've never watched porn.
Oh my god, yeah. There's a really great director.
You've never watched porn, Katie?
I saw one porn. Okay, and it made me never watch it again. I was 12, and a lot of bad things happened to me when I was 12. One of the guys said, come and look at this, and he showed me a horse having sex with a woman, and then I thought,
oh Jesus,
I was so horrified that I've never even Googled porn.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really it's not porn, you know.
I know. Okay, well then no, I have not seen porn. I've seen a horse fucking a woman.
Oh, but sorry, I just want to focus on the masturbation thing just before we jump off it, because we jumped around there a bit. Sell to the listener why masturbation is important, because I still think that some of our listeners will perhaps not be as comfortable with it.
Because it feels good.
It feels so good.
It feels so good. It feels lovely. But
I think there's more to it.
There's way more to it. So like it's like really good, like physically for you. It de-stresses you. If you do it for long enough, it counts as exercise. But like it's really good for your mental health. Again, like de-stresses. And I have noticed when I am like stuffed up in the nose, if I masturbate, it clears it up.
That's why I have a runny nose. I'm over here in Ireland not masturbating.
Oh, right.
But no, wait,
because she's staying at her cousin's house.
I can't, Can I ask you a question, though? Because I feel like a lot of women will have experienced what I experienced. When I first masturbated a lot, when I would get to that intensity, I would stop, because I would think, I'm going to wee, or there's something wrong, it's not working. And so isn't it like kind of important to push through that as well? That's
really common.
Do you have any sort of,
like try to push through, or just do whatever feels good. If you feel like you need to like pull back a bit, or like go to the loo before you start. For any kind of like sexual adventures, like definitely go to the loo before you start. and then you'll know like when you feel that intensity like rising that you're fine. You're not gonna wet the bed or anything.
So just out of curiosity, because
Yeah.
I've heard, obviously I'm not a woman, but I've heard women talk about the sensation of fuck, I feel like I'm gonna wet the bed.
Yeah, squirting.
Would it unload there, or is that just a sensation?
Sometimes some women can squirt, some women can't. So there's like debate in the science community about like, is squirt pee? And I don't know. I don't have like the
I've
studies
seen that
to
debate,
hand. There's a lot of evidence that it is pee, and a lot of evidence that like there's female ejaculate, which is very different from squirt. It's like a thick kind of white consistency, like almost like male ejaculate.
Really?
But
then I don't think I've ejaculated.
Yeah,
Is that the word?
Well, I think you've probably created
like
some of it,
floop.
Yeah.
but
It's
you
not
just
white.
haven't been
It's
sort of
kinda-
down there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like a white kind of liquid. But it's from a gland that's like the equivalent of like the prostate gland, but like it's like the female prostate gland, and it's just a tiny amount. Squirt, where like it's like a gush. The science behind it suggests that it is probably pee, but again, like my question there is like, is that really a problem because it's sterile?
I've had the squirt thing,
Yeah.
but I've also weed, and it was different. This was just with
Okay.
masturbation.
Okay.
So it was different to the coming because it was like watery. It was just like water.
Yeah.
It was like before the wee became wee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, let yourself wee.
When is wee not like water? Just out of curiosity.
My wee's like yellowy and smells.
All right. Oh, but I mean that could
That
just have
could
been the
just
amount of
mean
water
you're
that.
dehydrated.
You're
You're not drinking enough
You're not drinking enough water. You just got to stop masturbating when you're dehydrated. Have a Lucasade and then fucking go at yourself.
Get those electrolytes into you, and then
When you don't want a yellow stain on your bed, that's Lucasade.
No, but I didn't.
This
have a
week's
yellow stain. That
podcast
was
is
the
brought to you
point.
by Powerade.
Yeah.
Make sure you're hydrated when you touch yourself.
Drink tea. No, that's a diuretic. That's
a diuretic, yeah.
Oops, that's probably why.
So since you're Sexsiopa.ie, when do you recommend people introduce toys into their masturbation?
Oh.
Why? And also why? do you recommend?
Whenever they start to desire toys, I guess. Yeah, like everyone's different, and so the time to introduce toys into your sex life is whenever you feel comfortable with it. I do tell people, like, starting off, if you're not sure what kind of toy to get, to masturbate and see what kind of sensations feel good to you, and then try to find a toy that's going to enhance those sensations. So if you like inserting a finger or two, then you might want something like an insertable toy. If you just like clit stim and like nothing else, nothing inserted, then you might want to just go for like just a little like clit stimulator. And if you like playing with your butt, then maybe a butt plug, or even this if you're curious about anal and you're not sure if you want to go like buying a dildo or a butt plug, just get a little bit of lubricant and just rub the outside of your anus, because there's enough like nerve endings there that you're going to get a ton of like stimulation off of that. So I always tell people, like, masturbate, figure out what you like, and then try to find a toy that's going to enhance the things that you already like.
Actually, before we get on to toys, because you reminded me of something that I wanted to talk about a second ago, isn't masturbation also super important? Because, like you say, figure out what you like.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of being with your partner,
Yeah.
it's hard to know what you want them to do if you don't know really what you like.
Massively important. And this is like another problem that we have with the lack of sex ed. Guys, we have a lot of vocabulary for guys junk, like, you know, we have penis and balls and like all the nicknames, but we don't have that kind of vocabulary.
Those are the only two nicknames.
Those are the only two nicknames. Like I
One of them was the actual official term.
yeah. Penis, testicles, balls, whatever. Taint, gooch. And with women, we aren't given that kind of arsenal of like vocabulary when we're growing
And even when
up.
they come, they sound weird. They sound like almost like her tunnel of love. Like I just can't think of one good one to use other than pussy. And then some people don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you think about it, like the only kind of nicknames we have for them are sort of like derogatory, and it's talking about
the question is,
everything as a whole. But yeah, we're kind of diluting it down to just the whole. Rather than labia and clitoris and like urethra.
Well, we do have flaps. We have flaps.
I love flaps.
Oh,
I love you.
We do have flaps.
I love calling them flaps. It's like flaps and cunt are my favorite. I gave a 10-minute talk for Head Stuff one time about how cunt is my favorite word in the English language because it's always meant the same thing. It's never meant anything other than cunt. And I love it. It's great.
Cunt is a great word. It's got a lot of power, and it's amazing how people consider that to be the worst word, even though it's just really a word for
Fun
vagina.
to say.
Great consonants.
Yeah, cunt.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Guy?
Nick McGee.
The nickname or the food product?
No, Guy, the nickname was just specific to Ireland.
Yeah. I saw there was a bottle of wine that I got last week that was called, or no, maybe it was a beer. It was called like Guy Cock or Cock Guy or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was.
There's also one called Bishop's Finger.
Is there?
Yeah, I market that. But no, that's a beer called Bishop's Finger.
Terrifying.
Anyway, you were about to say about masturbation and why it's important for sex. Then we started talking about nicknames.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm terrible for rambling.
That's all right. I'm focused. I'm on it.
He's focused. He keeps me focused. I ramble as well.
Yeah.
So.
So like masturbation is like massively important when you're in a relationship because like you said, it means that you know like what feels good for you and you can communicate that to your partner. But I think oftentimes, especially like women in heterosexual relationships, we often defer to men because it's what's played out in our pop culture that men are supposed to automatically know like what gets us off. Like a 50 Shades of Grey thing where like the slightly older guy is going to give you a sexual awakening that you didn't even realize you needed, which just like isn't going to happen. And you like women aren't supposed to communicate what they want and need to guys. And so I think we need to get rid of all of that and start teaching young women that we need to be able to communicate like in the bedroom, and we need to teach guys to listen to that and not just assume that whatever you're doing, like if you're copying something that you see in a porn, that's what's going to get every single woman off, because it's absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered that pretty early. Actually, we had an amazing message, which I can only imagine that you receive messages like this because in a country like Ireland, some people literally haven't been exposed to any like positive chat about sex.
Yeah.
But a woman messaged us to say that she listened to the podcast and that she just started seeing a guy, and it gave her the confidence to tell the guy what she wanted him to do for her.
That's so awesome.
She had orgasm during sex for the first time. She's 32 years of age.
Amazing.
And by the way,
It made me so happy. I wanted to cry when I read it.
Yeah.
I knew that Katie would love that. But here's the thing that I found so interesting about that message. First of all, I was delighted, but I don't think of it in terms of how great are we that we said that. I thought, how bad is it in Ireland that a simple semi-jokey conversation that we have about communicating with your partner can change her life? Like, how bad is the information out there?
But you know, and it is like,
and how effective it is to just know and then it changes.
And I have a lot of my girlfriends will have a lot more casual sex now, and that's a bit more comfortable and that's good, but where they're not orgasming, where I'm like, I don't want to now that I have orgasm during sex. I'm like, okay, I don't want to even waste my like I want, so it's really I'll only orgasm during sex if I masturbate doing it, but I would have been mortified to do that before I was like, okay, I've only started doing that, but it wouldn't have. I think I was with an older man, so I did have an older man, where he did give me a sexual awakening.
Okay, well that's good.
He told me to do it.
Okay.
And I
she didn't go and write a fucking book about it, but you know.
whatever. It's now 50 Shades of Grey. It was more 50 Shades of he only owns one set of bed sheets. I was like, I'm not going to marry this guy. But he said, will you rub yourself? And I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is the best. And then the next sexual partner I did that, and I like, I orgasmed 6 times during the one sex session.
Yeah.
And then I tried to do it with a different partner as well, but he just kept like coming every time I would do that. So he was like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway.
I think that's another thing that a lot of women find difficult is masturbating in front of another person. Like, it's one thing to do it on your own. Like I remember when I first did that, it took a few goes for me to be able to actually reach orgasm, because I was just so mortified. Like in my and this is like me, I'm like really comfortable with sex, but the first couple of times that I like masturbated in front of a partner, I just wasn't. I just couldn't get there. It's that kind of like stage fright almost.
Absolutely. And then like I break out in a rash. So my face goes, I've had people ask me like, oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like I look like a burn victim for like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But I just had to like be like, fuck it, I just need to get over that. Or why am I putting in, like I need to get to that enjoyment, because it's just so frustrating if you're not being satisfied.
Yeah.
And you're putting in, it's like, I don't know, I can't think of an analogy, but like it'd be like going for a run every day but still not having abs or something. I don't know how you get abs, but
yeah. But what I would say to people is like, you know, push through the awkwardness. It's going to be awkward the first few times, so don't like feel like there's anything wrong that you need to like stop just because like it's feeling a little bit awkward. Like, try to push through the awkwardness. You'll come out the other side feeling a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, I do ask women sometimes to play with themselves, especially in a situation where clearly like it's hard to find. You know, it's hard to get to that place where they seem like they're gonna get to a climax where you think like, if you know how to do it yourself, like I'd love a hand. I'd love some assistance here, and I also would love the experience of watching you do it. But not all people aren't always comfortable, and of course, you know, you're not pushy about it. But I definitely. I've recommended it many times, but I guess maybe like 50% of the time.
But also like another thing is that like not everybody is going to be able to orgasm every single time. There's a lot of people who just cannot orgasm for whatever reason, or whatever physiological or psychological reason, and not to put, as a partner of that person, not to put pressure on them to orgasm by saying like, am I doing something wrong? Like, what am I doing? That kind of thing. Like, it's obviously like, it's good to ask in a very kind of like supportive way, is there anything I can do? But to put pressure on someone, like, what do we need to do to make sure you have an orgasm, can be like really pressurizing and preventing that person from coming as well.
It's so true as well, because I remember I had an ex-boyfriend, but like he'd be like going down on me, and then he'd keep asking like, and then I'm like, you're just distracting me, you know? And then I'm like, it just, you kind of just fucking let it. You want a guy who like loves going down on you, but isn't going to make a big deal if you can't come. Yeah.
No, it's just as a guy, sometimes it's hard to know when to give up.
Yeah.
We'll tell you.
But you don't. I mean, no, I'm not going down on you, Katie. So, but no. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes you know, sometimes they don't. I mean, more often than not, they don't. Like in that, like us chatting about communicating in the bedroom is not the norm.
Yeah.
So often, sometimes it can be difficult to know, should I keep at it? You know, because you feel like some people like. They'll keep you down there until it's done because they think they're going to get there, but sometimes they're not going to get there, but you don't know when to stop. That's a tough thing to know how to deal with.
But again, I think it boils down to like a lot of women deferring to their male partners and like not wanting to like make you feel bad for not being able to make them come, and just saying like, oh, do I keep up with this? Do I fake it? Never fake it.
Never fake it.
I've faked it. Sorry, lads.
Yeah, never fake it, man.
I've done.
Well, there's no reason to apologize. You're apologizing to yourself, really.
I know. I just was like, I was tired, and I'm like, a lot of time I wasn't, because I just wasn't orgasming for so long that I was just like, it's just confused. I'm still confused. Even like sometimes when I masturbate, I'm like, was that an orgasm?
That happens too. Sometimes you're just like so tired, you just fall asleep on top of your vibrator. Yeah. Not that that's ever happened to me.
And can I ask you a question?
I have fallen asleep with my dick in my hand.
Aww.
Just for whatever, I don't know. It was just I guess I wasn't.
I don't know why that sounds kind of sweet.
It's kind of like comforting, like a teddy bear.
If I had balls, I would hold them all the time. I love having a boyfriend,
right?
Because I'm always holding their balls.
If I had balls, I'd hold them all the time, but I had cancer when I was 24.
Sorry,
no, just kidding.
Well, you have ball. If I had ball, I would hold it all the time.
I'm totally kidding.
Wait.
My mom just died. That's like one of those jokes. Like, oh, thanks for bringing up my mom. My mom just died.
Oh, what was I going to ask? Oh, yeah. Okay. So you sell sex toys. Do you sell male sex toys?
I do.
What are male sex toys?
I brought one.
Fantastic.
I brought you a toy and I brought Des a toy.
I'm so glad you did, because I actually forgot to message you because I think we're possibly very female focused so far in this podcast, which is totally fine. But, you know, I did think it would be great if you brought... Why don't you start with a female one?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got a message asking, would we ask you about male toys? That's how I can come up with it, which is...
I mean, I know that you have them because I follow you on Instagram. So I saw you talking about this bad boy.
So this is the Jiju Rabbit Bullet Vibrator.
Where does that go?
It's a clitoral vibrator. So the way that it works... the two ears vibrate. And you would like put your clitoris in between the two ears.
Jesus.
Yeah. And it's like really intense despite being really super small. And it's rechargeable, USB rechargeable, so you can plug it into your laptop.
It's kind of cute.
It's really cute.
Nice.
I love it.
But Katie, that means you can plug it into your laptop. There's a suggestion in that.
You can watch porn.
Oh, I just thought it was being like convenient.
Well, that too, yeah. Because like about 10 years ago, all of the different like brands of vibrators had like different, they had all the different like plugs and stuff. So like travel adapters and all that, or you would need to go out and buy a travel adapter. And then like a couple of brands started doing like USB like chargers, and then they all followed suit. So now pretty much all rechargeable vibrators are going to have like a USB charging system. And it's great because it means you can go to any country and bring your vibrator with you.
So sorry, no. Just looking at this, I say, oh, well, this is not the stereotypical sex toy, right? No.
I don't know what's the stereotypical.
Well, I just, in the sense that Katie has never used one.
Oh
yeah, I've never even.
Yay! Well, I'm glad that this is going to be your first anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. This
it.
is going to be your first one.
I'm gonna order this.
No, this is
No,
yours.
she's going to give it to you.
That's yours.
But you have to review it.
I will.
This is like Oprah.
In a tasteful way.
Everybody gets a sex toy.
This is so cute. I'm gonna get him a little jumper.
Little rabbit.
You have to knit it yourself.
So sorry, can I just ask about this on a practical level?
Yeah.
So this is a clitoral stimulator,
Yeah.
but can you also stick it inside yourself, or it's not really for that?
It's not really for that.
Okay.
I mean, you could do like some shallow penetration.
No, I that's great because I don't like the sticking inside.
Oh, really?
I'm a click girl.
Yeah. Oh, if you're a click girl, you're gonna
I
love
know.
this
This
one.
is like you knew me before you knew me.
And I love the color because like so much of the industry is like pinks and purples, and this one's like a teal blue.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
Can I? This is a digression. This goes against what I believe in terms of running these conversations. But I'm reading Grayson Perry's The Descent of Man, which is a book about masculinity. But this thing blew my mind. I just read it this morning. Pink was a masculine color until like 1910 or something.
And blue was a feminine color.
Blue was
and
a
then it
feminine
swapped,
color.
Yeah.
And they say the main reason it was a swap was, I think maybe it was Teddy Roosevelt's wife, or certainly one of, oh no, actually I think it was Dwight D. Eisenhower's wife. The death knell for pink as a masculine color, or certainly pink, the beginning of pink as a feminine color, without question. She wore this pink dress, which everyone thought was the essence of femininity. And then pink, that was really like when pink then was solidified as a feminine color. But in our minds, I think most people think that pink was some natural thing that women gravitated towards. And it blew my mind to think that actually blue used to be the feminine color, and this is just something we've just taken on.
Yeah.
So take your feminine blue vibrator and have
I'm
a go up yourself.
I'm effeminate.
No, I didn't know that. I knew that it had swapped around like the 1910s, 1920s. I didn't realize it was because of.
Well, don't quote me on that because
okay.
this is just like I read this today, and I could be wrong on the president. That would make it the 50s, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah,
so I'm open to being wrong, and I'm open to being corrected. However, I do think a lot of our listeners will not have known that. I mean, I don't think I'm the smartest guy on the planet, but I literally found out today. I have a fair idea. Some other people don't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know it.
So there you go.
I'm
changing.
I'm pretty good at table quizzes, so
changing gender color norms one clitoral stimulator at a time.
Blue's my favorite color.
Blue's a really great color.
Yeah.
So
will I show you yours?
I mean, I didn't
so
realize.
I'm so excited about the man toy. I can't even imagine in my head. Like, also, I don't even know what lube is for. Like, I realize it's for.
Because
I brought lube too.
Okay. Well, I know it's for to make it
we
looser,
came
but-
across. Katie had heard a comedian doing a bit about what was that thing called?
Oh my god! So it's called a fleshlight.
Yeah.
But I thought he was
Not body safe, right? I can see it in your face.
Well, not going to go there, but they Fleshlight do not disclose the materials. Now, I would assume that it's some sort of like elastomer, and that's fine, but they don't disclose the materials, so I can't stock them on that basis.
So this is the spinner.
So that's the Tenga spinner. So Tenga is a Japanese brand, and I really want to go to Tokyo because I have been told...
You okay?
Yeah, I just got a cramp in my leg. Sorry.
I've been told that they sell Tenga products in vending machines in Tokyo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vending machines.
Yeah.
Can I look at it?
No, it's very wrapped.
it's-
So
you
Put your
Kind of-
penis in here?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Fleshlight in that it's a masturbation sleeve, but there's texture on the inside.
a
Can you open it
masturbation
up?
sleeve.
Can you open it up? Or do you really want to play with this? I want to touch it.
Open it up.
Open it up.
You know what? It reminds me of that toy you had when you were a kid, and it would slip
say
in and
that.
slip out. You know, the little toy.
Oh, the thing
Oh,
that
the
you
water
couldn't
snake.
hold it?
Oh,
Yeah, you couldn't hold
it's
it.
kind of like a water snake. Now I'm like,
that's right.
like mortified.
Oh,
to say
right.
that.
I wonder why I used to stick my dick in a water snake. Open up the spinner there, Katie.
So it comes in like a hard plastic case, and then I think you have to twist it. There you go. Yeah.
Oh my god, it feels amazing.
Katie, let me show you how to do it. No, I'm just kidding.
Can I?
Yeah.
And where'd you put your...
Your dick.
So you take. So it comes with like a little sachet of lubricant, and you put your penis in
easy.
that. But feel the inside of it. It's like it's got like texture in it, and then the.
It feels a bit like my vagina.
Well, I think...
I'd be worried if that's what the inside of your vagina felt like. You should probably go get that checked out.
Yeah, like I can get why that's.
But then I love like it has like this internal coil thing. So when you like jerk off with it, it twists around your penis.
Jesus.
We know there's been
Christ.
progress in fucking sexism because I still haven't had a chance to fucking feel my own
Technology.
sex toy here.
Feels lovely.
I can't get the fake vagina out of Katie's hands.
It feels like one of those fake, or no, not fake.
Oh,
you know
wow.
the chicken breast before you cook it.
Like a fillet.
A chicken fillet. That's what it feels like.
Looks like what
You should fuck a chicken
what's
fillet.
What's Stranger Things?
Salmonella.
What's Stranger Things? The world that they go into in Stranger Things.
Oh, the
Oh.
upside down. roll.
yeah, you're fucking looking. This is like the upside down.
I love
This
it.
is
I just
great.
want to touch it all the time.
Let me actually at the end of the I'll put it a little close to the video. Oh, so this is great. So actually, we're both going to do a sex toy review, which I wasn't even thinking. There you go. That's
I just took
classic.
my finger in your sex toy. I'm sorry. I
It's
didn't
all right.
realize
I'm
you were
gonna.
actually use it.
What did you think I was going to do with
I
it,
don't know. I just thought. I don't know.
Katie? Why would you think that you're the only one that's going to get to use a bloody sex toy?
She's gonna go home and just like look
You
at
don't
it.
seem like someone who'd use a sex toy. You just seem like someone who'd go have sex.
You know, if I said that the other way around now, there'd be a front page article in the Irish Times.
It's better to be it's better to be a woman right now.
I'm only joking. But,
Yeah, I'm giving you guys homework.
but I don't look like a guy that would use a sex toy.
You just look like someone who'd go out and have sex.
Oh, there's just so much going on with what you're saying. But in a
This
couple
is
of
the
years,
sex toy double standard that I'm always on about.
Is there a sex toy double standard?
Yeah. It's like the one double standard that kind of works in women's favor.
Yes.
But the double standard with sex toys, I'm like constantly trying to fight against because like women, there's much more sex toys out there for women than there are for guys, and I think part of that is the double standard, and that like women are seen as being like liberal and liberated, and they like to watch Sex in the City and all that, and guys who have sex toys are seen as like serial killers, and I'm like, no,
Yes, that is a good point.
They're just having fun.
See,
That is a good point.
I just thought
However-
you didn't look like a serial killer. Thanks.
Although it is interesting because on one level, I guess I used to always think that it was kind of practical in that like women could use them a little bit more than guys.
Yeah.
In that like a hand has never seemed inadequate for me.
Well, a hand has never seemed inadequate for me
Yeah,
either.
I
but
guess.
Sometimes I like a vibrator too.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah, but
if-
guys, I guess guys don't need vibration as much. Maybe I don't know, but that's
Yeah.
maybe I'm literally just reinforcing exactly what we're talking
Well,
about.
possibly, but like,
Can you place this back in the plastic? Can you
Sure.
place
I
my
can't believe your
vagina?
dick is
No,
gonna be in
excuse me,
this.
that's my vagina.
I can't believe I'm touching something your dick is going to be in
If,
later.
if you edited that incorrectly, somebody would like, is this guy claiming it's his vagina? It's not his vagina.
his detachable vagina.
I love
What's that?
penises. It
What-
feels
what-
like a penis.
Oh, this is the lubricant.
Oh, you get a little
it
sachet of
comes with
lube.
A little sachet of lube.
Wonderful.
But they've started making like vibrators for guys as well. But also like guys can use regular vibrators too. You just use it like on the frenulum. So like if you flap your dick back and you have the little kind of string bit that attaches the head to the shaft, that's really sensitive, and you can.
I've had a vibrator against my dick in this sort of,
Was it nice?
mutual play.
And how'd you like it?
Oh no, I like the vibration sensation.
But I think a lot of guys feel like it's like a feminine toy, and so they would never consider a vibrator, like purchasing a vibrator for them.
No, but so I'm just thinking of other fears, like so what if the vibrator is way better than any sexual like experience with a sexual partner? So that'd be my worry as well, because the shower head is pretty good right now.
The shower head's amazing.
I know, it's better than
use the shower head with a partner.
Yeah, I guess you could use the vibrator with a partner.
Yeah. Another thing that another common misconception is that a vibrator is going to desensitize you, and you're never going to be able to get pleasure off of a partner ever again. And that's like not necessarily true. If you're consistently using a really high powered vibrator and you suddenly take the vibrator off your clit and try to get stimulation off of like your hands or someone's face, obviously the level of like stimulation isn't going to be the same, and so it could take you a few goes before that'll like kind of balance out. But again, like it's all about balance. So like you're never going to like permanently desensitize your clit by using a vibrator. So stop spreading those myths.
And also, I just think that like it'd be very hard to sort of not appreciate all that goes with the extra stuff of being with a human being.
Yeah.
And that the vibrator can't touch your breast at the same time as touching your, there's just a lot.
Your vibrator isn't going to cuddle you at the end of the night.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like,
or let you down in the long term. Sorry, I'm a little cynical. I was asked, sometimes I do Q&As at the end of my show, and a couple of weeks ago, I think it was literally just a couple of days after the first episode of The Shift went out, a woman asked at the Q&A, do you ever get jealous of a vibrator? And I said, no, I've never found myself in competition with a vibrator. But if I felt under pressure, I would just hum while fucking. Which, we got a
I was in a relationship one time with a guy who didn't want me to use my vibrator when I was with him.
Yeah,
really?
That's weird.
Yeah.
I guess.
And then I was like, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. I mean, I never like to make judgments on anybody and their weird stuff, but it does shock me how people are, like, the stuff that people are into very rarely shocks me. But the stuff that people aren't into can surprise me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, as in, like, why would you care? But you just never know
Yeah.
where people are coming from,
Yeah.
Well, I guess they were jealous of the vibrator, so that question she asked you. Yeah. Or maybe performance, felt like the machine was better.
Well, it could be
performer than
shame too, it could be shame, like that it seems like dirty or something.
Yeah.
I got the impression that it was like more jealousy. Really? Yeah. That it was getting me off rather than him. But like what I say to people is that like it can be like a mutual thing. Like you can have someone fucking you while using a vibrator. Like just use any kind of combination of like whatever you want to do, dudes.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that obviously there's a gazillion questions that we have for you, but it is my desire to have you as a regular guest. So
Yeah.
I hope that's acceptable.
Yeah, can I answer like people's questions and stuff? Like
Yeah, well, I should have really done that for this particular app, but then at the same time, we were talking to you for the first time, so I feel like we would have had so many questions.
Yeah.
But if we do it regular enough, like, because I guess it's good advertisement for you too.
Yeah.
And you're like very much in the know about it. We'll do questions from the listeners the next time.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Katie, do you have any final things that you want to ask before we go?
No.
You don't have any more questions?
I will have a million though for
Okay.
you in the future. Definitely.
Use the vibrator and then come back and like ask me questions.
It's just
Well,
like,
I was going to say that in the next step we were going to talk about this experience. But would you prefer
Yeah.
if we waited to discuss it with you?
Oh, I don't mind. Whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
Either way, it's fine. You can
Yeah.
give us toys to try the next time also.
Yeah.
Would
sure.
you
Or if you can wait 20 minutes.
would you
I'll have a cup of tea.
Have a cup of-
I
have a
know my
cup
way
of
around
tea.
the kitchen
We'll
now.
we'll be back.
wait though? Can I do actually have another question?
Okay, Katie's got one more question.
With what? How do I watch porn?
On your computer. I'll send you some porn.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, can you send Katie a link of like some nice porn to watch,
I like-
and
I
then we'll
like
discuss that also.
I don't like choking. I don't like any violence.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I like looking like, oh, they're gonna have a family.
Oh, Jesus. Making a baby. I'll
They
try to
tend
find...
not to come inside. Just to give you the bad news. It's very little.
On the face. I don't want the face. Once the first time a guy asked me, where do you want me to put this? I was like, nowhere.
Did he have it in his hand? What was going on? Where do you want me
No,
to
wait.
put
Where
this?
did he want? Wait, because he wasn't going to come inside you. So he was like, where do you want me to come?
Face or tits.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, over there.
That's bleak. Face or tits?
I was
But did he
worse
say
then.
face or tits? Or are you putting? Did he actually say face or
He
tits?
said like face or breast.
Wow.
Or did he say face? He said something. I can't remember now. I don't want to quote him wrong. But I was like, boobs.
Like your face.
Yeah, but
Come
then
on your own face.
very difficult. you have to like get right out
Well,
of
you're
the.
very tall.
Well, you have to get right out of the scenario, and then you're gonna fucking like.
Oh, can I tell you a quick thing though? Because one of the first times I wanked off a guy, because the sperm is a little bit more shooty then, and it like shot up and hit me in the face. So
Yeah, well, that's good and bad for you. In that it's bad that it shot you in the face, but it doesn't always shoot up like that. So that's actually like a good experience
Talent.
that you had.
yeah,
Talent.
I tell you, that must have been a long build up, man. How old was this guy?
we were 15.
Oh yeah, I remember I used to shoot him like that. It's more like a baby getting sick nowadays. You know? It's more like a. But yeah, sometimes you don't know. Like, you know, if you're having very dangerous unprotected sex when nobody's on birth control and you haven't been tested. But no, when you're having unprotected sex in a situation where you should not come inside, which I'm not suggesting in any way is a safe method of birth control. You know, it can, you know, like you can obviously just like come in your own hand or come in the sheets, but then sometimes people want it on them. So you know, I think it's good to ask.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no, in
absolutely.
fairness,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if the only options you're giving the person is
No, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible.
You know,
But then I've had some great like requests from the woman, like not my question, but like requests before I get a chance to ask, and just like very specific and clearly they're into it, and I find that very hot. Like when they're in, like that's like their thing. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from, and I'm not going to get into it.
yeah.
I'm not asking any questions.
I'm
I'm
not
just going to
asking
go
any
along
questions. You know, is this a previous boyfriend or the porn or whatever? But I just like the fact that they're into that.
And can I let you go? This is going to sound really bad because not to promote unprotected sex, but if you go onto the Planned Parenthood website, they list it as one of the, and they say it's 78% effective.
With it.
What, withdrawal?
Pull out.
Pull out.
method.
They'll pull
Yeah.
out. Like they say, the pill, that thing you put inside you. What's it called? Oh,
The
The IUD?
IUD.
Oh, the coil.
the IUD, and
Yeah.
then they say pull out method. And
Yeah.
I was really shocked because I was like, I didn't even realize that would be something you would have on a.
Yeah, I mean they do, like, they have to include it. Like, obviously there are much more effective methods, but like if you don't have access to those things, it's like pulling out is better than not pulling out, so they have to list it.
Yeah, but when you think about it, did you say 78%?
That it was like high 70s, and I think
Yeah,
it
but
was
when
like
you think
70.
about like 22% chance of getting pregnant, it's a really high percentage.
It
And when you
is.
think
That's
about when
right.
people
One-
are trying,
more than 1 in 5.
when people are trying like full belt and they're not getting pregnant, like 22% is a high chance of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Really.
I have the Marina coil and I love it. I hate getting it inserted. It hurts like a motherfucker. But
What is that?
So the Marina coil, it's kind of like a Y-shaped thing. It's like an IUD, but slightly different. It has like a little like coil on it. But it implants in your uterus and it prevents eggs from implanting in the uterus.
Oh,
Does
right.
it have hormones in it?
A tiny amount of hormones.
So I don't use any birth control.
Okay.
Because I was on the pill for my skin and it made me cry all of the time. It like
Right.
really messed with my mental health.
So you might benefit from the copper coil. Because
has
it-
no, right?
That has no hormones in it, but it will make your period like heavier.
Oh jeez.
You'll get a heavier.
jeez.
flow.
I just like no.
Just have
I'm
a
just
baby.
gonna, I just condoms, and they're just gonna have to put up with it. I'm like, I just can't. I would actually rather do pull out method, which is not advisable. But with my ex boyfriend, we would do pull out method. But like, like you say, that's actually a high 28%.
I think I would get like
22.
so much anxiety from doing the pull out method and no other form of birth control.
Yeah. I don't know. That's
We'll
something
we'll do a birth control app.
We should.
Yeah.
I would look, because I hate putting hormones in my body, and I hate that, and I hate that it's on the responsibility of the woman. I wish there was like a male I was dating a guy once who was like, I'm planning like to get the snip, so I was like, when you do that with
A friend of mine got it the other day, got a vasectomy, and like really super easy. It's like an outpatient procedure, and he was like up walking around the next day.
Yeah, but it's a big thing to do in terms of like it is reversible, right? But it's a big deal to reverse it.
It is reversible,
So it is
but
better.
yeah.
It is better when you're clearly sure you're not gonna have any more children.
Yeah.
It's a little early if you just want to fucking roid around the place. Anyway, so listen, Shawna, so fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Plug all your stuff,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, can I plug my plugs?
Oh, you brought butt plugs too? Oh, good. Well, we can
look at it?
we can talk about them.
Jesus.
We'll talk about this another
Yeah, we'll
time.
save that.
Yeah.
We'll save it
for another one.
Katie, we got years of this.
Sorry, I thought a butt plug was like a plug that you put in the shower, or the bath. That's what I thought it looked like.
That's for the next episode.
Yeah, Katie, hold your fire.
But yeah, so I
Rant.
exist at Sexsiopa.ie, Sexsiopa.ie. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sexsiopa, all one word.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for
I'm
having
gonna
me,
follow
guys.
you.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thanks to Shawna. Thanks to Katie. Just a few things. Myself and Katie put it out on Instagram that we were looking for people's feedback if they had any stories about their experience with sex toys, questions about sex toys, anything at all. But we did realize that the episode hadn't gone out yet, so we're sort of putting it out here. Anybody with any thoughts about their experience with sex toys, please give us some feedback. We'll include it in the next ep to go along with myself and Katie's review. So I guess we'll sort of have a bit of a part 2. We won't include your name. In fact, we won't include your name in general moving forward unless you ask us to include your name, because I think anonymity perhaps will bring an openness to people's discussions. Unless, of course, you want to hear your name, and that's also totally fine. So always open to questions that you want us to discuss. Feel free to send questions to @KatieBoyleComic on Instagram or @DesBishop on Instagram. We will discuss anything at all. It might drive an entire episode. No question is too dumb. So please feel free and be entirely open about anything you want us to discuss. If we think that your question would be better answered by an expert, we'll hold on to it. We have some really interesting discussions coming up in the next few episodes. We talked to Thomas Whitfield, a sex researcher based in New York, about STIs, about the effects of porn, and also, quite timely for Ireland, about HIV and the PrEP drug, which decreases your chances a lot for transmission of HIV. There happened to be an article about that in the Irish Times just the other day. We also talked to Sarah Eckel, who wrote the book It's Not You, which focused a lot on being single later in life, quote unquote, later in life, or later than you should be single, which of course would include me. We talked to her about relationships in general, and a really interesting discussion with her about jealousy, and that was really great. We also talked to Colm Terrell, Irish comedian based in New York, and that was a lighthearted chat just about the Irish male experience of coming to New York. Plus, I thought it was important to get another couple of guys' voices on the podcast. We've had a lot of women, which I don't have a problem with, but it's not just for women, this podcast. Majority of our feedback does come from women, so any guys out there, please give your feedback. We'll answer questions, things you want to know. Anyway, a lot coming up on the podcast. Please subscribe, 5 stars on iTunes, or leave reviews wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll have some big news coming up in the next few weeks. about where the podcast is going to be going forward. We're not on Spotify yet, but I'm working on it. Anyway, thank you so much. Come to Boston if you're there. I'm in Limerick on March 16th, and I'm in Galway the following weekend, the weekend after St. Patrick's Day. So if you're looking to come to some shows, do that. And then I'm in Australia from the end of March, Melbourne Comedy Festival and Sydney Comedy Festival. Katie, as I always say, at Katie Boyle Comic, always doing shows in New York. Thank you so much, guys. Chat soon.
It's the shift with Des and Katie. Welcome to the shift. Welcome to the shift with Des and Katie. We're gonna have a good time.